time to work on something interesting. No, not that. The only Estima Hybrid this side of, I don't know, BC. Why is Gearhead like me driving a minivan? A minivan that beeps when you back up. Because it's weird. Alright, first things first, let's get this battery disconnected before we work on anything electrical. One of the nice things Toyota does is they put this on here as a little way of disconnecting the battery by hand. One thing I like to do so I don't lose things is any threaded bolt that can get misplaced, it will. Put it back in, just loose. Then it won't disappear on you. So here's the interior. Anyone who's driven like a 2007, 2008 Camry will recognize a lot of the stuff. It's just backwards. But yeah, first step for us is going to be pulling these seats because our hybrid battery is in there. So, tools we're going to need for this in no particular order. You're going to need a meter, and I find an impact or even a drill with a little extension on it will save a ton of time. I mean, you could just use your socket. Got a 1/4 inch, 3/8, an 8, 10, 12, and 14 are the sizes I remember using last time. I got a trim removal tool here and a flathead screwdriver. And that should be everything. So let's pull the seats off. Carpet out. Really? That's the only in Japan. Like 2 sets of, the whole back floor is a carpet. I'm acting surprised. I knew this from last time. This thing is weird, and that's why I love it. If you're gonna be stuck driving a minivan, it might as well be something interesting, right? These little jobbies. Come on. There's our first bolt. There's that one there. That's kind of satisfying. Oh. Not nearly cool enough to do it like that. Alright, now just imagine that times 8. Alright, bolts out. But don't just go yanking your seat out. There's probably... I'm gonna do this with one hand too. Oh, look at that little connector there. I'll go leave. Right. So, either through the front door or the back door. Usually the back door's not the easier one. But in this case, I think it is. I don't want to scratch up my door cards. Let's see. Here. And then can I just tilt it? Scratch up everything. There we go. Oh, it's so bad. There's like a battery control unit in here, and here. We don't need to take that out today. But yeah, there is a battery pack here, 14.4 volt, 9 cells. And then there's a battery pack down here. That's 12 cells, 9.6 volts each. And our problem is the one closest to this size, I believe. No interior work is complete without finding shameful receipts of junk food. Don't want to lose my bolts. Pop them back in a couple turns. There we go. Pop that off. And, oh, tell me you're having engine problems. The code reader's right there. And then I gotta pop that off. Alright. Trim removal tool. Well, that removed almost too well. Got me right in the face. I remember having to take this one off too. There's that one. There's that one. Alright. I'm gonna find a spot to put these so I don't lose them. And one back here. Alright. Got the trim off in the corner there. All the pop pins on the side of this. Gotta pop the center console apart. I don't like when these noises happen. There we go. Okay, that is our disconnect. We can leave that on for now. We're not going to be getting into any of the wiring for a little bit, but let's get this uncovered here. There is some bolts in there, and I believe, oh god, come on. Maybe this is better for this. I really don't want to break parts that are only available in Japan. There we go. Oh, come on. I don't like even leaving a mark in them, but ugh. Alright. Somebody customized something in this harness. Oh, another set of, they teed in another set of VGAs to the one that came with the car. Fun. Okay. Well, let's pop that apart. Alright, so that's off. If I remember correctly, this just pops up from here. Like that. And then you just disconnect all your connectors under here. Ooh. It's nice when you can do them with one hand. Alright. Bit faster than doing that with a ratchet. There's the bolt. When doing stuff like this, it's good to wiggle things around before you heave and hoe Like, you should never have 100% confidence that everything's unbolted without checking and slowly ramping up the force, because plastic is not very forgiving, especially old plastic. So I got some carpets holding this down a bit. I'll try and pull those up. Oh, that sounded good. This will come off easier. Let's separate this first. Oh yeah, look at that. Just like that. These carpets are proving to be a bit pain in the butt. There we go. Nothing broken. Good. Nothing broken. All right. So that actually is the vent for all your cells. Pass some air over them. Keep them cool. They run best at like room temperature. So luckily these are nickel metal hydride, I believe, which I've heard are okay in the cold, better than lithium, which in Canada, great. In the wintertime, like we had a couple days here, it was like minus 37 with the wind chill Celsius. Although at that point it doesn't matter, Celsius or Fahrenheit, it just sucks either way. This back end just lifted up and then pulled away, and the little tabs all pop out of there straight back. So now we have a 245 volt high voltage death battery. Back up. Now we have a 120 volt not death battery. This splits the banks, so not nearly as dangerous. I wouldn't lick that. It would probably hurt a lot, but you would survive. So it's been Darwin Award proofed. At least I hope. All right, lots and lots of bolts to undo. These are all 10 mil. I'm just gonna go and pop that on and zip them all off and put them back where they came from. Actually, I should do that for the last ones too. You never want to be looking, especially if they're different lengths, you don't want to be mixing them up too much. If you do that, you're going to get into some issues where you'll want too many of one and not any of the other, and maybe you'll be 4 or 5 steps back with the last bolt you mixed up. So you don't want to do it twice. It's a little more work when you want to put stuff back together if you have to do this each time, but it took me 2.5 to 3 seconds to pick that bolt up. It's certainly worth not losing it. You disconnect it there, and you just gotta pop this one off, and then the whole cover comes off and the cable just stays on that one cover. It's all one. This is all one piece, this sheet metal here. All right. Oh, the last one. There's that wiggle technique before you really heave on it and do something you regret. Wiggle. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. There's our fan. And there's some fuses filled with sand. Get that to focus. Yeah, interesting. And lots of things to disconnect. But last time I took this apart to change it all, every single connector can only go in one place. You cannot mix them up because of the way that they're all, the different terminals on them are all not matching. So you cannot mess it up as long as you make sure nothing is left disconnected when you're done. Pull those ones. You got to basically disconnect everything. These are nice little cable clips. Like they're just love that Toyota. Very, very nice. Like super easy to use. Super easy to organize all your wires. Pop that apart. Pop that apart. I done that last time. Oops. But yeah, we do have to pop this off too. That's the only 8mm bolts, I believe, on the whole job. No, I guess we need to get to the battery term posts on the cells as well. But most of it's 10mm. There's one 12mm bolt for the lower pack down there on the end of this bracket, right in under the carpet. It's the only 12mm on the whole job. It's like 10mm is 99% of it. So, all right, let's pop all those wires off. All right, so got most of the stuff off the back end. This little piece here, the bolts that hold this big cover on the back, also sandwich and bolt to this. But once that's off, there's no bolts left. All that's left is just these little little tiny push pins in the little holes off to the side, one on top and one on the other side. I think Toyota put that there just so it stays lined up when you assemble everything else. It's kind of thoughtful. A lot of machines and companies, they're all just kind of like, let the mechanic figure out how to hold 3 things at once to line them all up. Toyota's like, nah, let's make them all the same size bolts everywhere. Same length, same thread, and let's give them these little pins. I mean, it's annoying because they probably break half the time, but that keeps it all lined up. Let's pop our vent tube off. There's our top set. 9 cells in there. And we can just pop all these off and put that aside. And I'll undo this end here. Alright. Now, it's not a death machine anymore. All disconnected. And I'm going to take this little shroud off the front here next. Bolt there. I think that just holds that bracket on. Let's bolt down here. And that's it. And then same on the other side. So I'll pop that off, and then I'm going to take all these bolts out. And that should allow me to take the cover off the top cell pack, and then just lift the cells out to get to the bottom one. Welcome back. We're on the battery. 1, 2, 3. That's one side. Join me on the other side. Alright, that's all popped off, and that's the top cell, and that just lifts out because the case that closes it sandwiches it in. But the less weight I can take off to lift it out, the better. One little tip. This is the bit I took off first, and that's the bit I took off next, and then I took off next, and then that little bit came off next, and then that bit came off next. When I go to put that back on, I know it's from right to left because I took it off and went left to right. So you don't put something in and then realize, oh, I forgot that bracket that needed to go in before that piece, and it makes it a bit easier to put it back together, for sure. Alright, let's see how badly I hurt my back. Here. Come on. There's a little plastic tray in the bottom that directs airflow from the fan up between all the cells. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, it's very heavy. So this is the tray, has the fan built into it. I think there might be a bolt on the front left there. I gotta take off on the front shroud. I'm trying to remember, it's been a few weeks since I had this all apart last, so. But yeah, pretty quick. Yeah, fan blows air in here and this just directs it in between. Last time I had it out, I blew that out because that gets quite full of dust. Something you gotta be careful with any hybrid is the cooling fans for the batteries. So usually in the interior, and if you have a dog or something that clogs that up, the batteries will get hot. All right, we got our lower pack exposed. I don't like that there has been someone in Japan wired in some things. I know this connector goes to an auto down mirror thing that detects the reverse lights signal and tilts one of the mirrors down. I had to disconnect that because it's garbage and it wouldn't return the mirror back to the same position when you put it back in drive. It would always aim a little bit higher than it used to be, so it would adjust your mirror every time you put it in reverse and back into drive. And the switch to turn it off was buried under here. I didn't find it until I did this the first time, and it only turns on and off the driver's side, the right side. The left side is on all the time. So I'm hoping if I just leave it disconnected this time, the power mirrors will still work. Even if they don't, I'll set them the way we need them and we'll leave them. But having them adjust and get misaligned every time you put it in reverse is a pain in the ass. But yeah, this is the bottom one exposed. There's a little robot here. He watches over the batteries and makes sure that everything is okay. Specifically with temperature. That's a temperature sensor, I'm pretty sure. I'm not certain, but that looks like a good spot for a temperature sensor with all the fan blowing cold air through there. So we'll take apart this one. I think my problem cells are the rightmost two here. It could just be one of them. I'm hoping the company covers both because one's been kind of dealing with a bad partner for a while, and it's not good for batteries to be unbalanced. All right, those are the bolts off this. That is our battery controller. There's another cover on this end. I don't know why they made it a 2. This is a little safety device because you're not supposed to ever take this cover off without having disconnected the high voltage lines. And I'd really appreciate design stuff like this. Like, I'm a mechanical designer. This is great. So this is your disconnect. You can only really safely access this when you're sure the battery is disconnected. So Toyota made this weird little head here that corresponds with this little end here. So you can only turn that with this. Oh, not far enough. I think that's really clever. It's just a really nice thing to make sure no one does anything stupid. I guess I gotta get the bolts next to it too. Yeah, that's I think there. And then you can pop that out. It doesn't let you release it unless you do it properly, but you can only get that apart when your disconnect is off. You gotta get that bolt too. Okay, yeah, that's really clever. Yep. So popped a bolt there, pulled this little cover off the vent tube, and then you just want to make sure all the wires that are connected to your battery that you're going to lift out are separated. So this one, and this one are no longer clipped in anywhere. This one, all the wires are on the same side. The top one is an odd number of cells, so there's an in and out on either ends. This one's even number, so in and out. Right, positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, and it's a series. So should be good electrically wise to pull this out. Just got to unbolt the case. There's a couple bolts here. This is like a voltage meter. It's in the way. So I'll pop that apart because there is some nuts under there. And then this is the funnel. This is the only 12, but there's a 12 under there. And this is like, it looks like it's not welded, like it's sandwiched, but this is spot welded to the case for the bottom battery pack. So I got to undo that 12 mil and a bunch of 10s along here. And I can lift it out. You know, there's not many. Toyota really didn't think of where to put smartphones when trying to film this. That's the one thing they left out in their design. Okay. There is our 12. So, I think I'm going to leave it in the car because it's heavy as shit. And I like my back not being sore. But I am going to disconnect the bus bars here. So under these little black caps is a bunch of M5 nuts, I believe, that are 8mm heads. I'm going to pop them apart. And I should be able to, once they're all disconnected, get a voltage across each one. And I know, you know, it's funny, I don't actually know if it goes set 1 in the Dr. Previas app, which is like 1, 2, and then 3, 4 is number 2, 5, 6 is number 3. It might be the other way around. It might be this is 1, 2, this is 3, 4, this is 5, 6. All right. So pull this one off the left side, this one off the right side, and all the nuts are off. So now the bus bars on the back side are still on, which I might just leave them on and just check them in pairs, because that's what the Dr. Previas app was showing me was a problem. And check our voltage. All right, cell number 12, voltage under load. 9.8. And cell number 11, under load. It's a whole volt. It's a full volt lower than the others, which for a brand new battery is not. And then this we at. They're all at 11 except this last one. It's at 9.8. So I think that's good. I'll show them. So I tested all the cells for their voltage under load, and as suspected, one of the last two is the problem one. It was number 12. So 9.8, and these were all 11 plus or minus like 0.1 volt. So 12 is the issue. What I did find is when I got the battery problem, the last one, I think it was the 14.4 volt pack that was the issue. So that's all new and that's still working good. I tested all my old 9.6 volt ones and they're all still good under load. They were all, this one's 10.1 as well. So it's like 10.1 for all of them. There was a couple that were 10.2. So I grabbed one of the 10.2 volt ones, which is the best one there. And I figure if I can go from a 1.2 volt difference between cells to a 0.8 volt difference between cells just to get me by until the new one comes. I'm hoping, and then I'll balance them all then. I'm hoping that will mean that I can drive the thing without any issues for the next month or two until the new battery cell comes. I'll see if I can get the light from the window to show this, but this is the bad cell. And it's like flat, 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 flat. You can see the last one there. The last one is about 1/8 of an inch bulged on either side. That's the issue. All right, so reassembled. I got self-tappers in here, and I made sure to be very careful that they don't, they miss the battery, obviously, the end ones. But much easier than putting rivets back in. Rivets back in, pain in the ass. Especially with, look at what, I use a clamp to get the thing tight. It's just a very, the bottom is all springs, it's like spring steel, and the top opens up like an accordion. You may need to use a clamp like this to get them back together. Alright, little tip for when you're working on these. Sharpies are your friend. This side is bus bar only with a negative terminal here. And I can't see that light here, but that's negative. And all the way on this end is positive. So that's marked there as well. And then here, I've got secondary power, and got here positive here, and then over here your main and your temperature sensor. So when you put it all back together, everything ends up in the right spot. Vent tubes all in the right spot. These are all just finger tight now. Do not want to use the impact to tighten these. If you break off a stud in a cell, you probably need to schedule therapy, because that would be devastating at this point, especially with the batteries replacements being like at least a month away. That would be very, very sad. But yeah, just do all those by hand. Reconnect the 12-volt one. Oh, it's been a fun day. Alright, so you gotta hit the brake. Ooh, green light, good. Okay. And press. And we get ready. Doors open. Is that my only warning? Doors are open. I'll take it. Ooh, gas engine started. And let's see what. Hey, charging. Cool. Back in my cup holder again. Seems like it's fixed for now.